Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's match day 22 as West Ham United take on Arsenal in the early kick-off on Saturday at the London Stadium. As always, I'm joined by Gonzo and a guest, and then we will start with Gonzo. And as always, Gonzo, we will start with taking a quick look at our opponents. So what's your thoughts on the Gunners?
Dave, I think it feels like they've slipped a little bit. I think Emery came in. I think he did very, very well. They had a long run. I can't remember exactly what it was, but a long undefeated run. It looked like Aubameyang's playing very well. He's continued to play well. And Lacazette was featuring, also scoring goals, albeit sometimes he was coming off the bench. He seems to swap things around a little bit. So Ozil has not been as involved as he might have been. They've got a fella whose name in the middle begins with T. What's his name, Gio? Torreira scored. Yeah, he's got a bicycle kick, didn't he? He's a good player. He's given them a little bit of solidity in the middle. But their form has dipped off just a little bit. And, of course, they've just had the news that I believe Aaron Ramsey is joining Juventus on a free. So they've got a history of that, haven't they? They sort of lost Sanchez for peanuts because his contract ran down. Of course, Jack Wilshere successfully signed for us after his contract was run down as well. And they've just got a little bit of a habit of letting these players go. So I think probably they would consider it to be a bit of a mixed season.
And our guest tonight is Luke, back from a little break. Luke, what's your thoughts on Arsenal, please?
Yeah, I think they're an all right side. I wouldn't class Arsenal as a world-class team at all anymore. I don't think anyone would. If I'm honest, I do think on paper we are a club ourselves. I think we're a couple of players, world-class players, maybe off matching Arsenal. I don't think we're that far off them. If you look at their squad man to man compared to ours, we're not that far off them in terms of squad depth and quality. Again, they are just like Gonzo said, they have slipped a bit. It is the Arsenal way. I don't think much has changed. They obviously went on that nice run, which helped them along the way. But yeah, I wouldn't class them as a world-class side. They're not very physical, similar to us in a way. But yeah, I think we can get at them on Saturday.
I don't think we're quite near them, as you make on, Luke. I think we're quite far away from all the teams in the top six. I think Arsenal's an interesting one. Emery came in, and to be honest, he couldn't do much wrong because of the way last season, a couple of seasons have gone with their old manager, etc. All he had to do was win a few games, and fans should have took to him. He made them hard to beat initially. They were really difficult to beat. He got them organised. Then they started to play a little bit better football, and I think he struggled a little bit to find a place for Lacazette. Aubameyang's his number one striker, and I think he knows Lacazette's good enough to be starting, but he doesn't really want to play two up front, and he's struggling to get them both in. I feel he's not using Lacazette as much or as well as he should have done. I think they have slipped recently, but I sort of think that's just a bit of bad luck due to their defence. They don't have much options. They've had injury crises at the back. Lichtsteiner is one of the worst right backs I've seen play Premier League football. That guy makes a free transfer look expensive. He's awful. If he's playing right back, Bellerin is back in training, unfortunately, because I would have loved to have seen Felipe Anderson against Lichtsteiner. That guy is just rank awful. They've got a couple of good centre-backs in now, but Koscielny's finished at Premier League level. I think certainly top six level. He's not good enough for them anymore. They need to replace him. And I actually think they're quite similar to us, Arsenal. Different levels, but they're similar. New manager in, they've got a rebuilding project to do. The football's changing, and it's a case of clearing out the deadwood and getting in players that are better. The Ozil thing's a bit funny. We've always joked about how he doesn't turn up for big games, but I think Emery actually realises that and is actually going to start to do something about it, and that as well get out the team. The only one thing I don't really get is the fascination with Iwobi. Whenever he starts for Arsenal, I've never really got it. I just don't think he's good enough for it. I think he's fine for West Ham, Everton, a bit like Walcott was. He wasn't quite good enough for Arsenal, so he has to drop down and play for Leicester, Everton, West Ham, etc. I think Iwobi's one of those players, and I just think when I see Arsenal start, I think, well, that's why you're probably, you're playing Iwobi. Man City have got Mahrez on the bench. That's the difference between the two of you, etc. But Gonzo, is Emery's job at Arsenal similar to what Pellegrini is at West Ham, or am I just barking up the wrong tree here?
I think they're different, but what I do think they have in common is maybe it's not as he's just not going to get any money, Emery. There is no money there. They do not. They rolled the dice. They do not have the owner they wanted. They wanted Usmanov, I think his name is, and Kroenke bought him out, and Kroenke is now the sole owner. He didn't have much to spend in the summer, and I don't think he's ever going to get much to spend. And I think whilst Kroenke is in charge, Arsenal probably have to get used to being 6th or 7th or something like that, because he is never going to get the money, Emery, that the top 6 get. And even a club like Wolves, I think that this is not an anomaly. I think you will see Wolves outspending Arsenal next summer as well. They're stuck in it. They're going to have to cut their cloth, and that's the club where they are at the moment. They've had a couple of 50 million signings. I can't see them beating that figure anytime in the near future. And if you want world-class players, you better be paying more than 50 million quid. And that, so maybe there are some similarities with West Ham.
Is that the problem with Arsenal, Luke? Emery today said this window is loans only for Arsenal. I mean, if you're wanting to sort of, their fan base obviously want to eventually challenge for the title, is it going to happen under this management and this ownership at Arsenal?
No. I think top 4 is their maximum. To be honest, I think they could scrape into a third. But while they've got Stan Kroenke in charge of the club, there's no way that they're going to progress to winning big titles. And for the record, I don't think something like this would stand at West Ham. They've got people there paying season tickets for up to 2 to 3 grand, a lot of money. I don't know the exact figures, but honestly, the amount of money that club generates and they don't spend it on actually improving the team, it wouldn't happen at a club like West Ham. You saw the scenes last year at the Burnley game. Like they've got quite a soft fan base in that they're not happy to put up with it, but they do just put up with it, and then they're not going to progress much further.
Do you think they'll get top 4, Gonzo? Obviously, Liverpool and City have taken the top 2. Spurs look like they're finishing 3rd. Then you've got Chelsea and Arsenal in a straight shootout for 4th, really, with a resurgent Man United behind them.
No, I hope. And they're going to have to, again, to talk about this anomaly, this rare occurrence, which was Tottenham finishing above them. I think they're just going to have to accept, and I feel their pain, of course, that Tottenham are a better team and a better run club than Arsenal now. Those days are gone of them dominating their North London rivals there. Top 4, I just can't see it. I can't see that anywhere close. I would not be surprised. Look, Man U are coming up now. Man U will finish above Arsenal, you would expect. They're going to spend. They're never shy of spending. It wouldn't surprise me if a Wolverhampton Wanderers or somebody like that were to finish above Arsenal as well. But I do think, I don't want to play them down too much. I do think Aubameyang is a very, very good player. It's not that they don't have good players scattered around, but it's not enough. And the fact that they can't afford... I looked at their assists. Sky Sports News put up all their assists and everything, and key contributions, key passes and the rest of it. And Aaron Ramsey, when I saw the stat, and it was only this morning, was way ahead of everybody else. And so you'd have to say he is probably their second best player after Aubameyang. They can't even afford to keep their second best player. They couldn't afford to keep Sanchez. They keep losing players. It's just not the way to go about it. It's not the way you get top 4.
I don't agree with that. I think you two have been a bit harsh on Arsenal, actually. I think they've got a good chance of finishing 4th. I think it's a straight shootout between them and Chelsea. And Chelsea aren't scoring goals at the minute. They're struggling with no striker. Arsenal have got 2 really good goal scorers. One of them's one of the top goal scorers. Maybe he is the top goal scorer in the league as we speak, Aubameyang, but he's certainly the top 3. I think they've got fantastic players in there. They've got Torreira in midfield. I really like that young guy. I still can't pronounce his name. Downsy or whatever his name is. The guy that looks like the sideshow Bob in midfield. He's fantastic on the ball. I really like him. He's young. He's learning. He makes a few mistakes, but he's always available. He's always looking for the ball and stuff, and I really like that about him. Their defence needs a lot of work. It's the back. To be fair, the keeper neither keeper convinces me at Arsenal either. Czech, I think, is done. I think everyone knows that. And Leno's come in and he's making mistakes as well. So I think their whole back 5 just sort of needs stitched together a little bit. But their midfield and their attack's good. They've got some good players in there. Mkhitaryan as well would walk into any team outside the top 6, for example. So I think you two have been a bit harsh on Arsenal, but I can understand why. They've been on a bumpy road, if you like. Luke, is there any players that you're sort of worried about ahead of Saturday, or any players you like the look of at Arsenal?
I think Aubameyang is an obvious worry. Certainly if Ogbonna is going to play at centre-back. But again, in their midfield, I think the one thing that they don't really have, which we do, is grit. When it comes to like Mark Noble and Declan Rice, you mentioned Guendouzi. He's good on the ball, but he's that lightweight sort of figure where Mark Noble tackle in the first 5 minutes puts him out of the game. They just don't have as much grit in the middle as us, I don't think.
Interesting. Well, if you're attending the game on Saturday and you fancy joining us for a beer and a barbecue just 2 minutes from your seat inside the London Stadium, you can come along to our boats. The tickets, the link is in the description below. You fancy getting your ticket. As always, kids go free. They're free. So get your tickets below. Come and join us for a beer and a barbecue. A little bit of music before the game, and we're open after as well up until 6 p.m. as well. A special promotion this weekend. Jaeger bombs and toffee, toffee vodka shots are just £2.50 each. So get your ticket and we'll see you there. Let's talk about West Ham. Team news is Balbuena's out. He could be out for up to 2 months. He requires an operation. Pellegrini has confirmed. Fredericks and Hernandez have been back in training this week, so they are supposedly available for selection should Pele wish to include them. So Gonzo, with all that in mind, does the back four pick itself with Zabaleta, Bona, Diop and Creswell?
I'm afraid so at the moment. Anyone who watched our cup of tea yesterday, we threw some alternatives around for putting in a centre-back. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to get that back four, and I don't mind either. We've got to make the best of what we've got. I'm hoping Ogbonna will be a little bit better, just purely for the fact that he'll have a little run of games behind him as well. So yes, it's got to be Zabaleta, Ogbonna, Diop, and of course Cresswell at left back.
Luke, what's your thoughts on the back four? Bona in particular, because the other three sort of made those positions their own, but Bona is the one that's coming for a lot of criticism recently. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I've gone right off him. He takes such big touches. He's clumsy. He's got a mistake in him. You know, he's given last season he was given a couple of penalties away here and there. But I just don't trust him. There's something about him. What I'd change is that I wouldn't play him at all. What I'd do is actually, because Arsenal are the side that are fast, they play out on the floor, I'd actually put Cresswell in centre-back and play Masuaku left-back. Because when Cresswell played centre-back last season, he actually did quite well there. He's quite underrated playing there. And he could actually put up the pace of Aubameyang, whereas one big touch from Aubameyang past Ogbonna, I can just see Ogbonna clipping him or giving away something silly. I don't trust Ogbonna at centre back at the moment.
Interesting. Gonzo, what formation would you be looking to play for this one? For me, the team picks itself for me, but that'd be a bit boring. So, but for yourself, what formation are you playing? I think there's three options. There's 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, and well, that's it really. That's your two options, I think, or a slightly 4-3-3 if you like.
But I'd still go with whatever he's been playing. I'd change the personnel around a little bit. I'd still have Declan Rice and Noble in the middle. I'd have Snodgrass and Anderson wide, and I'm taking it. Arnie's okay, and available. So I'd go with Arnie and Antonio up there. I'll just be playing that. I'll be playing Pellegrini's system, doing what he does. Let's cause them some problems. They're not brilliant. We've already discussed. This is not a world-class team. We don't have to go there quaking our boots. We're not playing Manchester City here. We should go and attack them, and I think we will go and attack them, and that's more or less what I would be playing. If Hernandez if he was truly, totally fit, I might be tempted to play Hernandez and Arnie up front and Antonio on the right. But, I mean, I'm not changing things drastically, mate.
Do you not worry Gonzo would be outnumbered in midfield there? Obviously, we came up against, I want to say it was Brighton, who played three in the middle, and Noble and Rice were just struggling. They overran, if you like. In Arsenal, in a couple of games I've watched, they have played Xhaka, Torreira, and again Downsy in the middle, and they've gone with three centre midfielders.
I don't know. I'm not overly worried by it. I've got to say, I quite like the emphasis and the philosophy that we'll go and we'll have an attack, and I think we cause them enough problems. We get them turning, going backwards. Anderson being on form is a key. And I think if Snodgrass is doing the deliveries, I know you're going to speak to Luke in a second about Arnautovic. Arnautovic's going to have a point to prove. So I think if he's up for it and Anderson's up for it and Antonio keeps on his good form, we've got enough to bother them. That'll make them worry about us, I think.
Luke, what about yourself? What would you like to see in terms of formation and personnel? We've done the back five. What about your front six?
Yeah, I'd like to go up with. I'd like to go Arnie on his own up top with Anderson left, and I'd actually go Antonio right. In the Brighton game when he came on, he was looking more and more like a threat, just bullying on the right wing sort of thing with his pace and power. I think Snodgrass is better centrally, to be honest. So I think Antonio he's done so well playing right back, and I know for a fact he doesn't like playing there. I've seen it in interviews where he said he's not a right back. He doesn't like it. If he plays on the right wing, he goes onto that field feeling positive and ready. So I'd have him right wing, and yeah, Arnie up top. Although I would like to see some of, obviously I know Perez, but I'd like to see Nasri and even Perez get some minutes, because they will have a point to prove against Arsenal.
I would be picking the same team as Luke there, with Antonio and Anderson and Arnautovic up on his own. And when we're sort of defending, it becomes a 4-3-3 with Snodgrass tucking in alongside Noble and Rice to try and just pad the midfield out. When we're going forward, Snodgrass then sort of advances a little bit further than the other two, if you like. That's what I would like to see anyway. I do think we need to sort of be solid first and foremost, and then look at the adventure. But what about Nasri, Gonzo? I mean, are you looking forward to seeing? He's surely going to come on at some point. He's sort of Pellegrini's number one sub, probably, you'd imagine. Whether we're losing or we're winning and need to retain possession, who better to bring on than someone like Nasri that can keep the ball? So are you looking forward to seeing him in a slightly more competitive game than the FA Cup against Birmingham?
Yeah, very much so, and I think we definitely will see him. He's not going to start him, clearly, because he's not ready. But I think if he did, then your formation might well be a good way to go. I think that way is the way it works. You just take one of those guys out, either Antonio or Snodgrass. One of them plays right here, one of them comes out, and then Nasri goes in there. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. If we can stay in the game, and I think we possibly can, until he comes on, then we're going to give them problems. As I say, Arnie on form, Anderson, another technical player in there. I think Nasri would enjoy playing alongside Noble as well. I do have a feeling Noble comes off and Nasri comes on. I've got a feeling that might happen, would be the change I would sort of expect. But yeah, really looking forward to it, mate.
Myself and Gonzo discussed Marko Arnautovic last night on a cup of tea. Obviously, things have happened since then. His agent's come out and opened his mouth, but we'll cover that later. But Luke, for yourself, while you're on here, what's your thoughts on the Arnautovic thing? And do you think, are you expecting to see an extremely motivated Arnautovic on Saturday, or are you a bit worried as to what his state of mind is going to be?
Yeah, I feel like he's going to come out all guns blazing, ready to play, and I feel like he will have a professional hat on. It's a sad sight to see that all this is going on. He's a big player for us. He scores lots of goals. He's probably one of the best strikers in the Premier League, arguably in the top 10, definitely. He's a big player for us, and he's got pace, power, everything. It is a shame what's going on, and a lot of people, he hasn't grown up being a West Ham fan. If he wants to move on and earn more money, I think anyone who isn't a fan of a club would go and do that. But again, he's playing in the best league in the world. At the end of the day, he likes being a showman. All the cameras are on him in the Premier League, so you never know. But if he does leave, I mean, it's similar when you look at Alexis Sanchez. He only went to Man United for roughly 25 mil, because when you hit that age and whatnot, the price seems to go significantly lower. But for me, I heard you guys last night talk about it. For me, if he goes, I'd go straight in for Callum Wilson. So yeah, I don't want Arnie to leave, but if he does, that's what I'd do.
Good man. Gonzo, obviously against Brighton, Burnley, Southampton, we were a little bit lacklustre, if you like. There was a few negatives, etc., etc. What needs to be different against Arsenal on Saturday compared to those fixtures?
Well, we're in a funny position, and a position that we really would have desperately loved to have been in, which is through in a cup, with Wimbledon up next, and realistically, probably 3 wins, something like that, and being safe in the Premier League at the halfway point or whatever it might be. That's fantastic. We got to get this motivation. We got to get those points. I'm not saying we just want to scrape by the seat of our pants, but you've seen what's happened with Leicester just recently. They've stretched their legs a little bit just by chalking up a couple of extra. They've managed to put some daylight in there, and I'd like to see us doing the same sort of thing, really, Gio. I think we've got to put a slightly more professional head on. I think we need to see a little bit more design. We need to start at pace. We keep starting games slow, so I just hope that's been drilled into them. They've looked at the tapes of everything that's happened, and he's going to go out there. He's going to pick a good team. We're going to go and attack Arsenal, but we're going to start very, very fast, because the stadium needs it as well, because it was no good the way Birmingham started off and all the rest of it. I don't expect Arsenal to be as loud as Birmingham. Of course they won't. But in that stadium, you do not need to give the opposition fans any sort of opening. We get on them quick, we score early, make them quiet, we make our stadium loud, and that's what we've got to do.
Not so fun fact, we have lost 29 times in the Premier League against Arsenal, the most defeats that's been inflicted on us by any one Premier League club. And Luke, with that in mind and with what we've been discussing so far in the show, are you confident ahead of Saturday?
Yeah, I am. I think, like Gonzo says, first 5 minutes get in their face, but like the Man United game at home, when we just straight away from the offer on them, I think it's a game where Anderson's going to, if he's playing against Liechtensteiner, then he could have a field day. So, yeah, if like I said, it's a sort of game that could be won in the midfield. Mark Noble and Rice just have to bully their centre midfielders, and let the attackers do the talking. And we should. It's a game we can win, definitely.
Gonzo, are you confident?
Yeah, I'm not supremely confident, but I tell you what, I'm not nervous about it at all. I think this game's anyone's, and that's a good thing, right? West Ham Arsenal, I think anyone can win it. So yeah, that's pretty positive, mate.
I'm quite relaxed as well. The festive fixtures, there's a lot of logistic reasons in there for us being a little bit poor. We had a lot of games, a lot of away games as well, and Pellegrini come out with we call it excuses, but you give them the benefit of doubt. We won the FA Cup game, just what the doctor ordered, a nice injection of morale boosting confidence into the veins. We've had that now. We've had a week off. It was reported that Pellegrini gave him a couple of days off at the start of the week as like a well done type thing for the season so far. Spend a couple of days with your family. Perfect management, in my opinion, actually, just to let them have the break and stuff. And I'm hoping we're going to see a slightly fresher West Ham on Saturday. It was something a performance you can look at and go, actually, you can tell they've had a week off at last. They're there, they've done that. We just need to be a lot more organised. When you look at the goals we've been conceding, a lot of them are just sloppy mistakes, individual errors here and there, and just poor organisation all the way around. I'd be confident if Balbuena was playing, but Balbuena's not playing. And it makes me nervous that I think the back four has been showing a lack of leadership in his absence. I'm just hoping that Zabaleta coming back might take up that role, if you like, or Martin Noble in front of them might take up that role, and someone organises the back four that's not the centre-back, which is not really common in football. It's always a centre-back that's in charge, but Diop's had his opportunity, or Bonnett's had his opportunity. Neither of them have really grasped it in Balbuena's absence. So someone needs to do it, whether it's Fabianski, Zabaleta, or Noble, or all three of them. Someone needs to get control of that defence. And if we do that, I think we've got a good chance. I'm confident we'll score. The question is, can we score as much as or more than Arsenal? That's the only question for me. So, Luke, do you think we're going to score more than Arsenal? Can I have your score prediction, please?
Yeah, I think we'll win 2-1. I think that'll be a good result for us.
Gonzo?
Yeah, there's goals in this game for both teams. I'm going for your favourite scoreline, 2-2.
I'm going to go for my favourite scoreline as well, which is 2-2. Goals. We're all predicting. Let us know in the comments below which lineup you would like to see. Me and Luke are picking the same 11. I think that's what we're going to see. I think that's what Pellegrini's going to do as well on Saturday. We're all predicting goals. Me and Gonzo are going for a draw. Luke's going for the win. Let us know what you think. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll be back with another video very, very soon. Catch you in a bit.